All right, so get ready, because today we're really diving deep into the mind of philosopher Michel Serres.
Okay.
And his book Core.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've probably heard the saying, the body is a temple, right?
Mm.
Well, Serres is here to tell us it's not just a temple, it's practically a supercomputer.
It really is. What's so fascinating is that Serres challenges this traditional hierarchy, I think, between the mind and the body.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't see the body as simply a tool of the mind.
Right.
But almost like an intelligent and adaptive force in its own right.
It's interesting, too, because it's not like he just throws this out there
Right.
as like some kind of theory.
Yeah.
Serres actually dedicates Core to all the gym teachers, trainers, and mountain guides
Wow.
who taught me to think, he says.
Interesting.
That's not your typical philosophy, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, he's really flipping the script on how we typically think about thinking. It's not just this thing that happens up here. It's something that our bodies are actively involved in.
So how does that actually work?
Yeah.
How can our bodies think?
Well, Serres uses this really interesting word, metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis.
He says that when we learn, right, our bodies don't just imitate, they actually transform on like this fundamental level.
So it's not just about like memorizing facts, it's about embodying them.
Exactly. And he even has this great anecdote about Jacques Monod, who was a Nobel Prize-winning biologist, who was really struggling to understand the double helix structure of DNA. And Monod actually said that he could feel his body contorting as he was grappling with this concept.
Really?
Almost like he was trying to physically become the double helix.
You know that feeling when you're like really engrossed in a problem and it's almost like your whole being is trying to solve it?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're talking about here, right?
Absolutely. That's that deep embodied understanding that Serres is talking about.
Yeah.
But then he goes on to argue that a lot of this learning is happening below the surface in what he calls the black box of the body.
The black box.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like when you're first learning to play an instrument, right? Every note, every movement feels very deliberate, very conscious.
Totally.
But then as you practice, something shifts.
Yes.
Right? And you stop thinking about each individual step. You just flow.
Right. Or like when you've been driving for years, you don't have to like consciously think about every turn of the wheel or press of the pedal.
Right.
Your body just kind of knows what to do.
And that's really where mastery lies, according to Serres. It's not just about understanding something intellectually. It's about your body internalizing that knowledge and making it automatic.
Okay.
But what's even more wild is that this process might be happening before we're even consciously aware of it.
Okay, now you're just messing with me. How can my body learn something before my brain even knows what's going on?
It sounds strange, but there's actually scientific evidence to support this.
Right.
Have you ever heard of mirror neurons?
Vaguely. Yeah, it rings a bell.
Okay, so there are these incredible cells in our brains
Right.
that fire not only when we perform an action ourselves, but also when we watch someone else doing that same action.
So if I'm watching, say, Simone Biles nail a floor routine, the same neurons in my brain are firing as if I'm the one out there doing those flips.
That's the idea.
Wow.
Like our brains are actually wired to learn through observation, to pick up on these like subtle cues and patterns in movement, even before we can really even articulate what we're seeing.
That's mind-blowing. So it's like our bodies are constantly downloading information from the world around us, building up this incredible database of knowledge without us even realizing it.
Totally. And it kind of gets to this other radical idea that Serres brings up, which is that, you know, maybe we don't always understand something, then learn it.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes we have to learn it first.
Okay.
And then let our bodies grapple with it for a while, and then the understanding emerges.
How many times have you tried to learn something new, struggled with it for ages, and then all of a sudden, boom, it clicks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Serres even uses himself as an example. He talks about how he spent years like wrestling with these certain mathematical concepts.
Wow.
And then out of the blue, you know, the aha moment hit him.
Yeah.
It was like his body had been working on the problem in the background all along.
Wow.
And then finally the solution bubbled up to the surface.
So are you saying that sometimes the best way to understand something is to just dive in and let our bodies kind of figure it out?
Yeah, I think Serres would agree with that. You know, he sees the body as this incredibly patient learner. This persistent learner that's always absorbing information, making connections, even when like our conscious minds are distracted or preoccupied with other things.
Right. It's like we're always learning even when we don't realize it.
Absolutely. And he even uses this metaphor of the body as a support.
Okay.
almost like a blank page onto which our experiences are inscribed. And they gradually kind of form this tapestry of our understanding.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
It is.
That so much of what we know and understand comes from this unconscious process.
Yeah.
That we often take for granted.
Absolutely.
But hold on, we've been talking a lot about like individual learning.
Right.
But Serres takes this idea even further.
Yes.
With this concept of ex-Darwinism.
Yes.
What is that all about?
So this is where Serres really kind of like blows the lid off of our traditional ideas about evolution.
Okay.
He argues that human evolution isn't confined to, these biological changes passed down through our genes.
Right.
He says we're also evolving through the tools and technologies that we create.
Okay.
Which act as extensions of our bodies, right? Amplifying our abilities.
Interesting.
And shaping our relationship with the world around us.
So it's not just about survival of the fittest anymore. It's about survival of the most innovative.
You could say that.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. The wheel, the hammer, the telescope, the internet, these are all, in a sense, extensions of our bodies.
Okay.
They allow us to move faster, hit harder, see farther, and connect with each other in ways that would have been unimaginable to our ancestors.
I'm starting to see what you mean.
Yeah.
So like a bicycle becomes an extension of our legs.
Exactly.
A smartphone, an extension of our senses.
And each new invention, each technological leap pushes the boundaries of human potential even further.
Right.
We're constantly like externalizing our bodily functions, creating new ways to interact with the world.
Yeah.
And in doing so, we're driving this kind of cultural and technological evolution.
Wow.
That's happening at a dizzying pace.
That's both amazing and a little bit terrifying.
It is. It makes you wonder where this is all heading, right?
Yeah. Where does it stop, or does it stop?
Right, and it raises important ethical questions, too, especially as technology becomes increasingly integrated with our bodies.
Yeah.
But, I think Serres would say if we can learn to harness these tools wisely to enhance our humanity rather than diminish it, then the possibilities are truly limitless.
So we've got these incredible bodies that are constantly learning, adapting, even driving evolution.
Yes.
But what happens when we take this amazing capacity and we focus it on winning?
That's a question that really concerned Serres.
Okay.
Especially when it came to the world of modern sports.
Okay.
On the surface, sports seem like this celebration of the body, right? Yeah. A showcase for its strength, its skill, its agility.
So you're saying there's a darker side to it.
Yeah. Serres worries that this pursuit of victory, this pressure to break records, to outperform the competition, that it's overshadowed this like simple joy of movement.
He saw how the obsession with who wins can turn athletes into commodities, their bodies pushed to the limit, sometimes at the cost of their own well-being.
It's like we've forgotten that the body isn't just a machine to be optimized for performance. It's also a source of pleasure, a way of connecting with the world, and a vessel for experiencing the simple joy of being alive.
And haven't we all felt that pure exhilaration of moving our bodies just for the fun of it? Whether it's dancing in your living room, hiking a mountain trail, or just feeling the sun in your skin, there's a kind of freedom and aliveness that comes from moving for the sheer pleasure of it.
Exactly. And that's the kind of relationship with our bodies that Serres wants us to rediscover. He calls it sport for the self, a way of moving that's not about competition or achievement, but about listening to our bodies, honoring their limits, and finding joy in the movement itself.
So where does that leave us? In a world that's constantly pushing us to be faster, stronger, more productive, how do we reclaim this more mindful, joyful way of moving?
It starts with awareness, paying attention to how our bodies feel, not just when we're exercising, but throughout the day. Are we holding tension in our shoulders? Are we clenching our jaws? Are we rushing through our movements? Or are we allowing ourselves to slow down and savor the sensations of our bodies in motion?
It's like tuning in to that inner wisdom that our bodies are always communicating, if only we take the time to listen.
Precisely. And it's about questioning the messages we've internalized about what it means to have a good body. Do we value strength and flexibility only for their aesthetic appeal? Or do we appreciate them for the way they make us feel, the way they allow us to move through the world with grace and ease?
It's about shifting our focus from outward appearance to inward experience, from striving for an ideal to appreciating the incredible capabilities and potential of the bodies we already have.
And it's about recognizing that our bodies are not fixed, static entities. They're constantly changing, adapting, and evolving in response to the world around us. Every experience, every movement, every breath is an opportunity for growth and transformation.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the surprising intelligence of the body, I think the key takeaway is this. Our bodies are not just vessels to be controlled or machines to be optimized. They are wise, adaptable, and incredibly intelligent partners in the journey of life.
And by learning to listen to them, to move with them, and to appreciate them for the incredible gifts they are, we unlock a world of possibility, not just for ourselves, but for the future of our species.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest journeys are not about reaching a destination, but about exploring the incredible landscape of our own bodies, one step, one breath, one movement at a time.